Simon, one of the big stories that has been rumbling and rumbling and rumbling while you've been away, and it's not going away, is Harry Kane. Harry Kane, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? It boils down to that. Let me tell you, mate, since you've been sitting in that seat, nothing much has changed.
No.
Other than Bayern Munich coming over here saying, there's a bit more money. Is that going to do it? No, it's not. There's another chunk of money. Is that going to do it? No, it's not. German football broadcaster Konstantin Eckner has been right across it from the word go. Konstantin, good morning to you. It's our belief here, and are we right, Konstantin, that Bayern Munich are not going to give up and that they will be back? Is that your reading of it?
Exactly. I don't think that Bayern are quitting on their pursuit of Harry Kane. As I've previously talked on this very show, Bayern don't have a plan B, basically. They need a top-tier striker because they don't have one, and Harry Kane is their number one candidate, and there's no one really else. I mean, of course, they might make a emergency signing, but will that really be of the quality of Harry Kane? Probably not, right? So, they want to be back, and they had an internal meeting yesterday, late in the evening, and they are not quitting on their pursuit of Harry Kane.
I mean, as we know here, Konstantin, that what happened last Friday with the deadline, it was never really a deadline because it was never going to test Tottenham or Daniel Levy's nerve on this one. But I mean, 100 million is still the figure that's been spoken about, Simon. If they go to 84 or 86, surely a club of the scale of Bayern Munich can go to 100.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can make that argument. 86 rounded up on the basis of euros is 100 million euros. That's why they've gone to 86 million, haven't they? Because they've made it a 100 million euro figure. I've always maintained that they're going to have to break Daniel's arm off at the shoulder economically to make him make this decision, because he's made it clear, for whatever reason, whether people agree with it or not, that this is not a transaction that he's particularly engaged with having. I've spoken to him previously, and I've drawn the conclusion that he felt there was a distinct possibility that there's an opportunity to get Harry Kane on point with Tottenham Hotspur. And Harry Kane at this moment in time is very relaxed. People were talking yesterday about the fact he's not agitating. Well, he saw what agitation did for him last year. It got him precisely nowhere. It got him put back in his box. So there's no need for him to agitate because he knows that in a year's time he's in control of his own destiny. So with the parameters surrounding it, Bayern Munich need to keep their mouths shut and do their business in a certain way, because you're not going to press Daniel Levy into doing a deal because you keep on throwing out these faux sort of ideals around this is the last bid, because you make yourself look silly.
Yeah.
So they've proven the point that is not their last bid. If they come back and start to move towards £125 million, then I'll start to think that you'll see Daniel Levy blink.
£125 million?
Yeah. That's where I think you'll start seeing blinking.
He's only got 1 year left, Simon.
Well, this is the needs must, isn't it? I mean, you saw Eden Hazard get sold for 100 million to Real Madrid. That didn't work out too well for Real Madrid, but notwithstanding that, it worked out well for Chelsea. There's a need from Bayern Munich. That need could well bring forward the commercial sense of making a purchase now into the world of an uncommercial decision. But Tottenham Hotspur are going to spin that dice. And what I like more than anything is Postecoglou. He's having none of this nonsense. He's not interested in getting sucked into this conversation about how disruptive it's going to be. He talked about Harry Kane being a very important part of the group, but the group being more important than Harry Kane.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. Good point. Good point about Ange. So, Konstantin, here's the deal. You're there, we're not. You know Bayern, we don't. Have they got it to get him? Have they got that kind of dough to get him?
Theoretically, of course. Theoretically, they have a budget of maybe 150 million euros, which would then be more than I don't know the exchange rate as of today, but that's more than what's just been called maybe it's more than 125 million pounds. But are they really ready to spend all that money, knowing that they might get Kane for cheaper in January or maybe next summer?
Well, and I mean, all these constantly they need to put up or shut up, don't they? And they're gonna have to pay or get off the pot. If they're not going to get him for under 100 million quid, they're not going to. So they can do the dance of the seven veils for as long as they want. The bottom line is money talk and the other thing walks, isn't it? And if they want to buy Kane from Daniel Levy, they're going to have to pay precisely what Daniel Levy wants. Otherwise, they should buzz off and buy someone else.
Oh, we've missed you, boy. Konstantin, that's the bottom line, isn't it? You know, they either now need to put up or shut up.
There are two scenarios, basically. I mean, some of these bits, like the first bit, second bid, third bid, and so on, might be more for the public stage, basically, that Bayern want to appear as hard negotiators because they don't want to just get in and pay the price that is asked for. I mean, and I can see that point, by the way, because you don't want to just go in and someone demands price X and you pay that. As a club that actually does business in terms of like, writing actually good numbers and not being in debt all the time. So I get that. The second scenario is that Tottenham are waiting, or they need more time to actually put in place or put in line a replacement. Line up someone who's actually replacing Harry Kane. Because if they lose Harry Kane tomorrow, who's actually there to replace him? Who's like an exciting striker who could replace him? And that's why
but
now
Constantine, they're not going to lose him. They're not going to put him in a room and not be able to find him. They're not going to lose him. They're going to sell him, and they're in control of that process. Nobody else is in control of it. Bayern Munich can bark at the moon, and so can Harry Kane. The only people that decide whether Harry Kane gets sold is Daniel Levy. So he will control the process at the pace that he determines. So if he's determining in his mind's eye that he's going to sell this player, then they'll be doing from wherever he is in Miami. If there is a need or inherent belief that Bayern Munich are actually going to pony up and get to the money that they need to, then they will already be laying the best laid plans of mice and men to suit Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur, in a year's time, will be economically out of the box seat. In terms of this season and this season alone, if Tottenham Hotspur want to set on fire 100 million quid, they're in control of their own destiny.
But Bayern, I think, might actually try also to wait for Tottenham to actually line up a replacement, because I think Daniel Levy, he needs someone to present to the fans. He needs someone, if he actually sells Harry Kane, if he actually in his mind thinks, all right, for 100 million pounds I sell Harry Kane, he still needs to line up a replacement. Otherwise, he stands there empty-handed, and the fans say, "What are you doing? You're selling our captain. You're selling like the key figure of our team for the past I don't know how many years."
I don't think that fact will evade him, Constantine. Do you?
I think Daniel Levy is very concerned about the fan reaction.
Oh, of course he will be, but I don't think it won't be something he goes, oh, I wonder if the fans are going to be pleased if I sell Harry Kane and bring nobody else in.
Yeah.
I think he'll be pretty clear in his mind's eye that he needs to have a solution to a problem that other people perceive him to have.
Okay, Constantine, the other day when you were on, you said it was what, about 60-40, didn't you? In favour of Kane going. Do you still think he goes to Munich?
I go down to 50-50 now, because why? Because no, we are approaching the start of the season, the start of the Premier League season. That's this week, and next week on the 18th, Bayern play the first Bundesliga game against Werder Bremen. So if it hasn't happened until then, I think it's done. It won't happen during the summer transfer window, because then I think the two parties, or Bayern will just backtrack and go and move away, and maybe come back in January, by the way, or maybe then next summer and approach just Harry Kane's cap. But it has to happen either this week or next week. And now with Bayern being a bit erratic with this latest bid on Friday, where they didn't really put a deadline, but they said like, we want a decision today or this weekend or whatever. It looks like they are now running out of nerves, basically, that they are a bit unnerved now. So I think, the likelihood, the percentage has dropped, let's say 50-50.
Sure. Listen, Constantine Eckner, thank you so much for your contribution, as always. Bayern still knocking at the door, but they haven't broken it down yet. Far from it. There's Danny, one of many people messaging in. Bayern just need to pay up or move on. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, Kane walks into any Premier League team next season. I mean, that's it. The key thing is, Simon, he's got one season left on his contract. So, and as you rightly say, it's in the hands of one guy and one guy only. Levy.
Yeah. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the ridiculous notion that Joe Lewis had told him he had to sell him because Joe Lewis has got challenges in America. No, that wasn't ever the case. Daniel Levy runs the Tottenham Hotspur business because, there isn't a lot of funding coming in from Joe Lewis. It's run on its own steam. The point is no one really... The way that football operates, we can all sit here and purport to know the outcome. No one knows what Bayern Munich are prepared to really go to besides Bayern Munich. And if Bayern Munich pulls something out of their backsides that metaphorically makes Daniel Levy blink, then the dynamic that Daniel has, which is, I'd like to keep him. I think we can keep him. I think the benefits of keeping him might be outweighing, even in a season, If we can get into the top 4, that's worth 50, 60 million quid. If we're getting 80 million quid, the difference between the two is 25 million quid.
Yeah.
What we arguing about?
Did
we
you
might as
ever
well take
do
that pump.
Did you ever do, Simon, what Bayern have done? Impose a deadline before the transfer deadline?
No, because you only set ultimatums you're prepared to follow through on. Otherwise, you don't look like you're doing a business deal in a fashion that means anything. Because if you're going to set someone an ultimatum, it's incumbent upon you to stay with that ultimatum. Otherwise, it wasn't an ultimatum. That means the next negotiation, I'm sitting across the table with somebody going, "You're a clown. You don't mean anything that you're saying. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push the envelope as far as I possibly can because you've shown me that you don't mean what you say."
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.